go, and thank you for joining us, Raquel.
Of
And it
course,
is
I'm
now
excited.
live on LinkedIn Live. I want to welcome everyone. I know we'll have a couple more people joining up as we go on, but I just wanted to welcome everyone on LinkedIn Live and who just joined in on the Zoom. Today we're discussing the hidden job English, what it is, why it matters, and how ordinary job seekers can access opportunities that may never appear on a job board, right? It won't appear on a job board. And today we are joined by Raquel Paulo of Your Career Edit. Raquel, just do a brief introduction of yourself and tell us about the work that you do.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Mark. I'm really excited to be here and welcome everyone. As you mentioned, my name is Raquel and I'm the founder of Your Career Edit. I've been in talent acquisition now for just over 20 years, which is kind of scary to admit, to be honest with you. But I've seen a lot of things in the job market. A lot of things have changed and a lot of things have stayed the same. The work that I do now is I help marketing leaders break out of the rejection cycle and land their next opportunity. In addition to that, I help small to medium-sized organizations with hiring the right talent. I've hired across Canada, the US, and really excited to be here today to chat with all of you and answer all your questions.
We got a lot of things, and I wanted to start off by first asking you, Raquel,
Sure.
what exactly is the hidden job market?
Yeah, the hidden job market is essentially, like you mentioned earlier, it's jobs that are not necessarily posted publicly. Could be, agencies hiring for specific opportunities. It could be confidential searches. It could be referral based. That's a lot of the time. So I always like to say it's all about who you know and who knows you, and it's roles that are available to individuals that are not publicly posted.
And are hidden opportunities more common in certain industries, roles, or seniority roles? Like, where do we see these hidden opportunities most?
Yeah, that's a great question. Based on no specific stats, but just based on my experience, it's definitely more prevalent in the positions that are at a higher level. Because again, senior level executives might move to a next opportunity and they tend to like to bring people with them. So I find it definitely more prevalent in more seasoned or higher level positions.
Now, when you've spoken to job seekers or anyone who's looking for an opportunity, have have there been some common misconceptions that they might have about the hidden job market? Have you ever heard anything like that?
In talking to candidates, I think
Yeah.
that candidates definitely find it difficult. They don't necessarily recognize the network that they have and how to properly utilize that network to be able to then be considered for these hidden job market opportunities. So I think the misconception is not not recognizing the network that you already have. That could be former coworkers, it could be people that you've met at a networking event or an industry specific event. Um, you may have spoken to somebody on a personal level and not necessarily focused on career conversations, but those are individuals that, if you stay connected with them, they know who you are, they know the type of work that you have, the impact that you've made, the value that you've made, all those things. And just keeping those in mind that those are individuals that you can tap into when you're ready to look for your next opportunity.
You know, something very interesting about that. But I want to point this question to you, Raquel. Where should someone begin looking if they have a very small professional network or they don't think they know that many people?
Great question. So, first and foremost, so your example was a great one. When you think about students, whether it be high school, college, university, etc., consider the people around you first. So it may be a small network of individuals surrounding you, but guess what? They know a bunch of people. And so perhaps it's asking that professor or that guidance counselor or your friend's parent to introduce you to someone else. So that's the first way that I would recommend. Second is go out and do some networking at events, in person, community, virtually, whatever the case may be, volunteering, is another great way, and getting involved in your community. And then LinkedIn, just reach out to people, do some research on organizations that you are really excited about, and see if you can figure out who works there and how you might be able to connect with them. They may not have an opportunity currently. Chances are that they will eventually. And so if you start to build a connection with somebody who you know is likely going to be a hiring manager at some point, then ask them for a virtual coffee chat and just get to know them and understand the industry and the work that they do. Stay connected with them. So that's what I would recommend, is start to build out that network in different ways around you.
Just briefly, like, the coffee chats, being authentic, but what does effective networking actually look like?
Great question. So I would say, again, it's not coming to the table with something that you need from them, but rather being curious about a conversation. So, depending on how well you know an individual, I think let's assume that you're just starting to network with someone that maybe you haven't been connected with them before. I think coming to them with a curious question, with trying to understand who they are, what they do, as opposed to coming to the table with an ask and a request, building that rapport, building that relationship, and adding value to them as well, right? It's a give and take relationship. It shouldn't be one-sided. Maintaining that conversation, not just a one-time coffee chat, maybe checking in with them a month later because you saw an article about the conversation that you spoke about and it reminded you of them or that conversation. So, consistently staying connected with them, and it doesn't need to be every week, once a month. It could be every quarter you reach back out to somebody just to check in and say hello. So I think effective networking is coming to the table with curiosity and wanting to also add value. It's I actually have a little sticky note here as a reminder. What can I contribute versus what can I get out of this? That's something that I saw recently that really resonated with me. So it's coming to the conversation with that mindset. I'm gonna put that on my sticky note too.
And then we did speak about a lot of different types of people. You could speak to your friends, colleagues, hiring managers, but who should young or new people entering the market, who should they contact first?
I would say people who know them the best. So when you talk about young people, I'm going to assume that's either high school or university level individuals. People who don't have necessarily the experience. Maybe they've had a co-op or an internship, but let's pretend that they don't. I would say the people who know them the most are going to be their professors. If they've tried to apply to a co-op, they probably have spoken to a career counselor or someone from the career services department. If they are working a part-time job, I would say reaching out to people that they currently work with. Those are the individuals that know who they are, know the type of work that they've done. So I would start there.
And then, moving to the other side of things, for anyone like new immigrants, someone who just entered the country, they don't have a network at all, right? They don't have anybody. Where would they look for these hidden job opportunities? Where would they start finding them?
Yeah, I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier in terms of these would be considered cold or new connections, right? They're going to want to start to think about things that they can do within their communities, perhaps, whether it's events or alumni networks, if there's an opportunity for that, LinkedIn groups, both virtual in-person networking opportunities maybe within their community or within the industry that they're curious about or interested in or in currently. Those are great connection starters. I would also say, while they're new to the country, they may know people who have also moved to the same city, country, province, whatever the case may be, and they may be able to reach out to those warm connections as well to see who it is that they know and who they might be able to introduce them to. And then the last one is just the cold outreach on LinkedIn, as I mentioned. Doing some research and identifying individuals that they can reach out to, and with any connection request, obviously my recommendation is to make sure that you're adding a short and respectful note to the individual, why you're reaching out to them, came across your profile, really admire the work that you're doing in this particular area. Would you be open to a quick chat? I'd love to learn more about your perspective, something of that nature. Really, it is allowing them to expand their reach pretty quickly. And LinkedIn is free.
Anything looks like.
Yeah.
So what are ways that you've seen that people have been able to become more visible on LinkedIn?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I don't know that we have enough time for all of it, but at a high level, I would say the first thing is to define what their personal brand is. Who are they? What is it that they're targeting? And then everything that they do on their LinkedIn profile, similar to what they would want to do on their resume, needs to speak to that. So if it's somebody who's entering the job market and wants to move into a marketing, associate or analyst position, social media marketer, I don't know, whatever the case may be. What is that? Who is that person? Build your profile that way. So from the headline to the about section to your experience level, and somebody who's entering the job market can also put part-time work, volunteering, projects that they've worked on, etc. Now, how they show up on LinkedIn, in addition to that, would be posting, content themselves of things that maybe it's sharing an article that they recently saw and adding their views on this. Perhaps it's commenting on other people's content, following individuals that they are admire or follow. They want to follow along their footsteps, that kind of thing. So I would say commenting, engaging, but really the first thing is that identity is really understanding who you are and want to be and start showing up as that on your LinkedIn profile.
And when it comes to, people hear all about these career fairs, networking events, would you say those are good opportunities for people to get out there to kind of advertise themselves, push themselves? And I guess more in that, what should they be saying or doing when they're approaching someone at these events?
Oh, great question. Okay, absolutely, yes. I think that networking events and career fairs, I completely forgot about career fairs. Absolutely. Especially for newcomers and individuals who are still in school, who are going to be graduating. Take advantage of those events. Absolutely. From my knowledge, they're free for students to join. You get to meet with hundreds of employers. You get to make connections with the people who are making those hiring decisions. Absolutely take advantage of those info sessions, those career fairs, any kind of networking opportunities that are available to you as a student as part of your school. Absolutely, you should be attending. For those that are maybe newcomers and things of that nature, yeah, networking events and other career fairs that are available, 100%, same reasons as I just mentioned. Elevator pitch. You need to have your elevator pitch ready. It should be 30 seconds or less. It should identify who you are, what you've done, what you're looking to do.
And, I want to take this conversation towards creating opportunities now, right? Because a lot of job seekers need to create the opportunities for themselves first before an opportunity could ever come to them.
Fair.
So I guess the better question is it appropriate to contact a company when it has no relevant vacancies being advertised currently?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the way that you can approach that, as I mentioned earlier, is if you identify an organization, Guhuza as an example, if that's an organization that you admire and that you're really excited about, but they don't currently have job openings, well, who can you find? Maybe it's on LinkedIn under the people section, who work there. How can you maybe connect with them? And going back to that cold connection that I just mentioned, send a connection request and just reach out to them to learn a little bit more about the organization. What that's going to do, actually, I had a student do this to me one time because I used to hire a lot of co-op students not that long ago. And they reached out to me because they were really passionate about the organization that I was working for. They sent me a connection request and they said, I would really just love to learn a little bit more about the organization. Well, guess what? When a co-op opportunity became available the next time around, I understood when they were available. I reached out to them and we hired them. So it's definitely, people are open to having conversations. It's the way that you approach it.
And then based on everything we've talked about, what would a good introductory message be to send to, I don't know, a hiring manager, someone that works at the company? What should someone say to get the ball rolling?
Yeah, so I think if it's an informational kind of conversation, a couple of things would be, I've always admired your company, your industry, your role. I'm currently exploring what's next in my career. Would you be open to a coffee chat? Or I think, based on what I mentioned earlier is, hey, looking to expand my network with XYZ industry. Would love to learn a little bit more about what you do. Just something really simple. Obviously, read through their profile, understand what it is that they do, and personalize it. One thing that I will say as a recruiter and the many, many years that I've been doing this and the many, many messages that I've received, make sure that if you're going to template a message, that you are reviewing that you've made changes to that message. I can't tell you how many times I've received, in-mail messages from people looking to make connections with me with another company's name on it, or another person's name on it. So please, please, please. I'm not saying absolutely don't do it, but try not to do that.
I know Ian's laughing because he's seen it before. He's seen it before. I know it's coming as inbox.
Way too many times, man.
Yeah. So if you take nothing else from this whole conversation, please take this as your advice. Yeah. Personalize the messages and really be clear about your intention as you're reaching out to them.
And right before I go into taking some questions from the audience, I do want to ask you one more important thing. All right. In this generation, the TikTok generation, everyone wants instant gratification. Scroll, get the thing immediately. How long would it take for the networking efforts to actually produce a genuine opportunity? Is there any type of timeline for that?
Yeah. So the numbers that I've seen out there, I did a little bit of research recently, is about 5 to 6 weeks before you start to see some sort of traction. Networking is definitely the long game, not the short game. It's not going to be instant gratification. You're planting a seed and you're having conversations. 5 to 6 weeks to me personally seems really short. In my opinion, it can be months because it depends on the market. It depends on, if there even are opportunities available. So I would say networking should be a constant thing. It shouldn't be something that you just start doing at the beginning of your job search. It should be something that you continuously do throughout the year.
Okay. And I want to start taking questions from some of the audience.
One thing I would say is that if you're from an area where networking is scarce, maybe, how could you network more effectively? Is my question for Raquel.
Yeah, great question. First thing I just want to say, I love what you just said about you never know what opportunities might arise. So being open-minded to opportunities and saying yes to things might allow you to sort of shift your career in ways that maybe you hadn't realized, but that you actually really enjoy. So I just wanted to point that out. So thank you for that. To answer your question, if I would say look at virtual networking opportunities. There's always groups or organizations that also hold virtual networking opportunities.
Even like this one.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Things like this. Absolutely. I would also say if they're not traditional networking opportunities, there may be community events that you can utilize as a networking opportunity to meet with people, like-minded individuals. It could be something that you're really passionate about that maybe isn't part of the work that you do, but you might be able to meet with like-minded individuals. So I would say virtual is definitely the way to go. And then LinkedIn is always another great way to do that. And reaching out to people, posting Virtual coffee chats is another way to do that. So that's where I would start.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Amazing.
So I feel like for our generation, there's just this little fear of putting ourselves out there. Because it just seems so intimidating. And it's obviously because all our lives, most of it till now, we've been dependent on either our family, friends, anything that's related to finance as well. So just suddenly stepping out into the real world is obviously scary and intimidating. So my question is, how could we get rid of that fear?
That's a great question. So first thing I want to say is it's not just you. There are people at every stage in their career that have that fear of visibility as well. So just want to point it out to you that it's not just you. Yes, it is very intimidating, as you mentioned, getting out there and doing something that is really uncomfortable. My advice to you would be pick something small that you can do regularly. A small challenge could be nothing, related to job searching, but maybe it's something that you feel really uncomfortable with that will help put you out there and challenge you a little bit. And the more you do that, baby steps, break down this big thing that you're thinking of and break it down into smaller chunks and things that are more digestible, and do that one thing that you are a little bit afraid of. Once you start to see, oh, okay, that wasn't so scary, you start to build the confidence. And as you do more of that, your confidence continues to build, because it's not confidence that you have that then allows you to do the thing. It's doing the thing that then builds the confidence. So that would be my suggestion to you, is just turn it into little bite-sized pieces and do something tomorrow that's a little scary. And once you realize, oh, that wasn't actually too bad, then start to expand on that.
I want to go to Shania. You're new here. This is the first time you've been on one of these 2 o'clocks as well. So anything from your end of things? Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Oh, no problem. I was gonna kind of piggyback off of what was just said. I know that being a high school student, the pressures of being able to venture off from being so dependent on like your family and that kind of thing, being able to grow into adulthood is hard. But even it's harder for young adults that are already of the age of 20. And just like what was just said, interviews, I've done plenty of interviews actually, and every single time I've done one, it's still always so nerve-wracking. So it's like, for not just for high school students, but for young adults as well, that are kind of just expected to have all of this experience, even though they don't necessarily always have that. How would you give that kind of advice to young adults who are supposed to be seen as having everything together? Like, how would you go about giving them that advice, as well as how would you tell them to deal with often discouragement from being not welcomed, if that makes sense?
Okay, I think the first question is how to build confidence in an interview.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I would do with that is preparation. Definitely making sure that you know who the company is. You kind of take the time, either by yourself or with someone else, to think about the type of questions that they might be asking you based on the position that you have, that you're applying to, and think about the transferable skills that you have and the value that you can bring to the table, and have that prepared and in the back of your mind. The more you practice that, and the more you have your elevator pitch down, and you know your experience, and you know what you bring to the table, you know the job description, you know the company, you know all of those things, the more you can kind of prepare for that, I think the more confident you're going to feel in the interview. And hopefully you've got an interviewer that's going to make you feel comfortable through the whole process too. Everybody is nervous. What I'm going to tell you is, at every single level, whether it's high school student, someone applying to their first internship, somebody applying to their first full-time job, somebody applying to a VP level position, everybody is nervous in their interview, regardless of what level they're at. my advice is the same to everybody, is just making sure that you know who you are, you know your story and what you bring to the table, and the interview will go so smoothly. And if they ask you silly questions like how many balls can fit in a bus, just leave.
And honestly, if you didn't have those nerves, you wouldn't be very human, I tell you. You know what I mean?
True.
Everybody's gonna have some sort of those nerves, right?
Yeah.
So
It's
it wouldn't
inevitable.
be right. It wouldn't be right if you didn't.
Correct. Yeah. And then there was a second part to your question that I don't know if I answered.
Basically
Discouragement.
how to deal with discouragement.
Is it discouragement like self-inflicted, or someone else is discouraging you?
Pretty much both. Feeling like you're not necessarily like enough if you're putting yourself out there, applying for all of these jobs and not necessarily getting calls back, or that type of thing. Like, how would you deal with it? Like, what kind of advice would you give?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of people are dealing with that right now. I think there's so many things that I can say about this. I would say just keep going. Don't get discouraged by the lack of response, because right now AI is disrupting the market right now, the job market, and how things work. AI has made it so simple for people to create a new resume within 30 seconds. It sounds exactly like a job description and apply to 100 jobs in minutes. Recruiters are now feeling overwhelmed because they have thousands and thousands of applications. I think the stat was an average of 95 applications per job posting, which is 2 times more than the average before. And I think 95 is probably low. And so, what I would say is don't get discouraged, because the market is it's the wild, wild west out there. Stay true to who you are. Make sure that your resume is authentic and sounds human, because that's the other piece too, is the more AI you use to create your resume, the less of a chance that you will have in moving forward in the selection process. Recruiters are looking for real people, because there are bots that are applying to these positions as well. So keep going. Make sure that you are not using that discouragement to apply to jobs that are below the level that you are capable of, and just keep going. In it. Mark, do I have time for a quick story?
Yes, go right ahead.
So the whole thing about the hidden job market and networking and things like that, as you were talking about, talking to somebody on the beach and things like that, a memory came up. Myself and part of my team were in Arizona for an event, and we were on our way home. We were in a lift to the airport, and there's 4 recruiters in a Lyft car. Started to have conversations with this individual, and turns out that they were just doing Lyft driving as a means while they were looking for their next opportunity. They had just moved to that city, and were looking for a specific role that we were going to be hiring for. So we put them in touch with the local recruiter, and we hired him.
You see that? It's just a guy you met in the Uber, right?
Just having a conversation. Yeah.
So that could tell you how really, really easy it is at the end of the day for anyone to just speak about yourself, talk to people. Really and truly, be curious. And I know a lot of people like to say that they're introverted. I used to say I was very introverted, but you have to step outside your comfort zone a little bit in order to get what you want in life, right?
Yeah. And when you have light conversations and you take that pressure off yourself of having to convince somebody to, when you're officially networking with someone, you feel like you need to be this professional persona, but just taking that weight off of yourself and just being who you are authentically, it just makes things so much easier.
I wanted to try and ask maybe one or two, Soumya, if you're there. I know I haven't asked you a question before, but what are your thoughts, takeaways, and anything that you want to ask Raquel?
Yeah, so I would like to ask one question to Raquel. What advice can you give someone who's looking to switch their career? So they have for me, I have work experience in a different career, and the field which I'm looking to switch to, be related to that previous experience. So what advice could you give?
Great question. So I'm going to challenge you. I know you say that the experience that you had doesn't translate or isn't the same as the experience of the new field that you're going into. But my challenge to you is there's always transferable skills. There are always ways that you can translate your experience from one industry to another. It may not be exactly the same, experience that you have, but the skills that are there, the underlying skills, are definitely transferable. And one example is I was hiring my last organization for campus recruiter. And an individual reached out to me who had zero HR talent acquisition experience, came from hospitality, in fact. Previously, he was a manager of within hotels. Like he had done a whole bunch of hospitality type positions. But guess what? He as a hiring manager had done hiring before. He knew about customer service. He recognized, hospitality and recruitment. It's very fast paced. So there were a ton of transferable skills that he had, and I was able to support and grow him in the ways that maybe he didn't have the experience. So I would challenge you to really dig into the transferable skills that you do have for that position and highlight that. In addition, I would also do some networking and outreach to individuals within that particular industry or market, and reach out to them curiously with, I'm looking to move into XYZ industry. I come from XYZ industry, and I'm really just learning, like to learn from you on, what it takes to do this position or be within this industry, and just have some coffee chats, whether they be virtually or in person, and just learn a little bit more about the skills that are required, and then start to build on that. Hopefully that helps.
Oh, and Avril, you're saying you're going from retail into admin. There is definitely overlap there. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
It's in that field especially.
Yeah.
You're going to find a lot of overlap
Yeah.
from retail into admin. Even myself, when I went from retail into HR, right? There was a lot of overlap because there's
100%.
a lot of admin work, right? So there's a lot of overlap there. And
yeah, it's also stakeholder management, customer service, the way that you, manage individuals, manage projects, fast-paced environment. Oh, there's so much. Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's always that you have to know yourself at the end of the day. You really just have to know yourself. That's
give yourself credit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even though you didn't have the fancy job title, you still had the experience.
It's the skills.
And
That's it.
And perfect. And I think that should be all for today. Let me just check LinkedIn, see if there's anything in the chat. I hope my chat isn't broken, but I don't see anything there, so we're all good. And I want to thank Raquel so much again for joining us from your career edit today. It's been a great conversation, I think. I think we had a pretty good conversation here today. And
I've enjoyed it.
I kind of feel like I need to grab this video and probably upload it to our YouTube, because I think this was a very, very useful conversation for a lot of people to have. So I'll let you know what I do with that, Raquel.
YouTube worthy.
That should be perfect. But for everyone else, thank you again for joining us today. Raquel, do you have any final words to say to anyone? For everyone, actually?
Yeah, no, just thank you so much for having me. I really did enjoy this conversation. Just based on all of the things, just be yourself, be authentic, and just give yourself enough credit.
The hidden job market's out there, and everyone can tap into it. You just have to be yourself, really and truly. As Raquel was saying, you just have to be yourself.
That's
then the opportunities will come to you. As even simple as being an Uber driver, right?
That's right.
Exactly. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. I hope to see you guys again on our Thursday next week at 2:00.